When you're getting ready to lay a tile floor, it's really important that you take some time to think through what you're about to do. Sometimes people, in the excitement to get going, start setting tile before having really thought through the process. The decisions you make before you begin laying tile make the difference between installation that you know is going to work out well and one that may or may not turn out so well. I'm installing a 16 by 16 inch Italian tile in a master bathroom and closet. It's a really nice quality ceramic tile that's a deep dark brown stone pattern.
Alright, I'm in the process of laying out a bathroom floor on a diagonal installation. In this case, there is so much going on in the bathroom with angles and various lines that this is really a pretty simple installation, even though you may think it's kind of a pain to do, but it's really not, because you're still laying out tile on lines. So the only tricky part comes in when you start making cuts up against walls, and you do realize that every termination up against a wall is going to be a cut. So if you're laying tile straight, you can set up so that you can minimize cuts or make cuts be somewhat repetitive. And in this case of doing a diagonal installation, that's not really the case. But you may be wondering why I am drawing so many lines. The reason I do this kind of thing, particularly on a bathroom like this, is just I like to know how everything is going to work out before I ever start installing my tiles. So this really gives you a good picture. And those lines will represent the center of the grout joints. So as I'm doing the placement of the tiles, I know that on each side that line should be hitting right in the center of the grout joint. And if so, everything's going good, and if not, then I've got something happening, but I can at least make an adjustment for.
Sometimes a really important decision you make is where to start. This is one of those times. The diagonal lines I'm using for my layout run parallel to the entrance to the shower. The layout creates a situation at this door jamb and wall corner that made me choose this as the starting point. If I can get as large a cut as possible to get around the corner and as far under the jamb as I can, that makes it very easy to make all the other cuts leading away from that point. I had a question asked in the comments of a video on how to set tile around a tub that I have linked above. A fellow by the name of Ken was asking why I was applying thin set to the back of the tile rather than to the wall, as was the case in other videos he has watched. That's a really good question. The more tile you set over time, the better feel you get for how much thin set or other type of adhesive you need between the tile and the surface it's being set on. With larger tile like this, I will always apply thin set to the floor as well as butter the back of the tile with thin set. Variations in the floor or wall surface may cause you to adjust the amount of adhesive you're applying in order to make sure you get a good bond between the tile and the surface. So techniques are going to be different from person to person. The goal is to install the tile with enough adhesive to get a good bond. If you have any question, pop a piece of tile up after you set it and see if you have any voids using your technique. So now that I have the kinks worked out, it's time to crank.
I'll talk about making some cuts here. So rather than trying to calculate angles, and there are certainly tools that will help you to do that, what I tend to do in cases like this is just project out my grout joints, the center of them, out on the piece of tile or in the area that I'm going to need the cut for my piece of tile, and then can just do some measurements of basically a triangle here. That's what I have to cut. Just take some dimensional measurements of the two legs of the triangle. That's 12 5/8 by 11 5/8. So I'll just make my marks on my tile to those dimensions, make the cut, and that piece should fit right in. I'm switching from the diagonal pattern back to a straight installation in the closet itself. And I've done kind of a breadboard transition here, and the door jamb allows me to switch over. In my layout here, I've really just done 2 long lines throughout the length of the closet area itself. Since I'm doing the brick pattern, there's not really a lot of alignment that's necessary apart from staying straight on the line.
It's about 3 in the afternoon on a Friday as I'm finishing up the floor, and I'm supposed to meet a lady at 4:30. I have just enough time and just enough thinset to finish the rest of the floor before my meeting in an hour and a half. Let my experience be a lesson to you to not get distracted from what you should be focusing on. It's now about 8:30 on that Friday evening, and I've been to the supply house to pick up more thinset as well as made my 4:30 meeting. So that momentary lapse or senior moment cost me a couple of hours and turned an early day into a late evening of work. Ah, well, I've never really minded working into the evening anyway. Just remember, as you get older, it gets harder to stay up with multiple tasks in your head at one time. So I try to tell myself to focus on one thing at a time. Get to the other stuff later.